Okay, so number Mem Aleph says, the Nimsiki Eden Hamshacha Zu Tzricha the his Kavin the Kriya Shema Shalamita the Zecha V'Sod Yishkav Ad Ya'achel Taref. So this is the word Taref again, or Taref. Shal Yedei Kriya Shema Shalamita Taref Adam Osam HaTipos. So man cuts or he tears apart those tipos hanimshachos min rapach elyon knizker. So let's see, what is the rapach elyon? Not sure that I remember. Miyad hamazikim, from the mazikim who have a hold of them, v'chitzonim v'hamachzirim osom the bekomo the gedush. Kriya shema shal lamita yesh the kavin lahamshech hashefach hanizker mahadikner de'erich. He said, "B'kedei lokalos lokali lahotzia mehem haneshamas ha'ashukos asher behem lahachzirim l'makom shebegedusha, and bring them back into kedusha." He said, "So lo yishkav ad ya'achol tarif." Tarif is what? Ka'amar she'al yedecha kriya shema she'al amita. This is all of our kavanah here. Torah for Adam as hatipos, he's able to tear open or tear out. Let's see, these tipos on him shachos min harapach elyon miyad hamazikim ha'pagitzonim and machzirav and bekomesh begadush. Number Mem Bet. Number Mem Bet says gam zehu so gipol mitzidchol elef. Now this is also contained in the Kriya Shema L'Lamita. It's in a different order. And so then it actually appears in the way he's introducing it, that is, it's introducing it first. So it's actually not first in the Kriya Shema L'Lamita in the Siddharim that I have. But at any rate, this is a pasuk that's found over there. Shehem osa magufos atameim. These are the unclean bodies, meaning the Kali, Shehilbisha la'osam, and the neshamas that have now managed to, I guess I would say, they clothe them, they've absorbed, and though the sama sheyamusa v'yiplu, so that those that have absorbed these neshamas, that they should fall and die. V'ozlo tuchul o the klipa legashes alav. So this seems to be an important idea. So once that happens, then the klipa can't come back again. But so the lomar al the neshamas and niskaras. Now we're talking about the niskamas which are free of the yotza mimcha that come out from you, lachso lahalvishim, to come back and clothe them. Kevin shagavar mesu. Now actually that was a kash, I think. V'ritzon the lomar al the neshamas and niskaras the yotza mimcha, so that they shouldn't come back and get you when you kill them or you knock them down. But vorasod pasagipo mitzilchol elov uravava miminacho. Alecha lo yigash, the yipol mitzidachol elef ravava mimenecho, hakavana al gufos hatameyu. So the kavana is on these unclean bodies, shal hakali sheyiplo v'yamuso v'ayidei zeh, and through this alecha lo yigash, and as a result of that, they're not going to be able to come back at you. Shuv lo yigshu hakalchim his chaver sheni, so they're not going to come back a second time. I don't know if does he mean to say that if you do this kavana, you're really knocking out the kali, and you've actually purified your neshama, or maybe not your neshama. He says everybody's. It's for. I thought he said it was like for everybody. Shuv lo yigshu hakali the his chaver shenis im osam and neshama. So you actually free them, and they're free. That's what it sounds like. Number Mem Gimel. Over there, it's not like Lomer Alecha Lo Yigash. So therefore, wants to talk about what does it mean when you say Yo Yiddish. The Peshita, the Kevin Sheyiba, the Zidachol Elef of the Vaso, since 1,000 fell from your side. Who She'alecha Lo Yigash, that on you they're not going to come back. Of all the Kavona Lomer Shalo Yachzer his Chaver Im and the Shamas and his Karos, so they shouldn't come back and attach themselves to these neshamas that we mentioned. I'm not sure exactly where we're going here, so let's see the chura. So we come back, let's take a look at like this. Alecho lo yigash miyuseres. That's what I was trying to get at. He says, they're not going to you. He said, lo yigash me yuseris, you don't need it. Shahari la'acha sheyipo mitzilcho elef, so since 1,000 fell of Ravava Bebenacho, he said, that's happened. The other sheyipo lemezibin the phone that they're falling in your presence right in front of you. Vaday sheshuv lo yigshu alecha atzma. I mean, they're not going to come back on you again. Ela alecha, this phrase, alecha, ain't a kavana alav atzmo. It's not talking about you yourself personally. Ela haneshama yotzes memena, but rather I'm not sure what he means here. Obviously, the translation is the neshamas that come out from it. Come out from what? He says the neshamas. Are there a lot of neshamas here? Alecha ain't a kavana alav atzmo. Elo the neshamas yotzes memena, that the neshamas apparently saying that there are more than one neshama there. There's multiple neshamas trapped in this kali. The kevin she'ana horgim as gufas and azikim. So once we've done that, shuv ein chashash yachzach the davek ben neshamas halalu. So I'm not really sure what he means by the neshamas halalu. There's a little note at the bottom. It says. This bar al p pre-8 Chaim Shaar Coffins that gives a site reference. So I thought it was a little short, that explanation, but let's go on to number Mem Daled. Now this is what we went through the last time, and I want to try to look at it one more time because he has an explanation here for the first part of it at any rate, and then maybe we'll look at the RASHASH again. So I have a rule now in the Shash. I had a little better time in shul on Shabbos. That's the only time I think I really have to try to work on this. And I was trying to copy. I saw those guys at Nov Zion, how they're working, and really they're following the lights right up and down the stage. They're looking at the lights. Now they might know all the background too, which I don't. But they're looking at the lights and how the flow of the light is going, and that's what we want to be able to do too. We want to be able to look at the lights. If we look at the light, we may be able to figure out how this is, where the RASHASH is coming from. So here we go, number Mem Daled. He says this is on the subject of Sok Pasuk Yaloza Chasidim Bekabo. Now that phrase itself by itself is I have the art scroll here. If you just for my edification, Ya'alu Chasidim Bekabo. So he writes in English. He says, "Let the devout exult in glory. Let them sing joyously upon their beds." So then it goes on. Then the next pasuk, it goes on a little bit more, where it talks about in English. Let me find it. Come back here, please. Because the lofty praises of God are in their throats. And that's where we saw, that seems to be where we saw the RASHASH is focusing on this phrase, and a double-edged sword in their hands. So that's this whole phrase, but Yalozu, what is that all about? What's the rejoicing? So we're on number Mem Daled. And number Mem Daled says like this: V'gam zehu sod yaloza chasidim bekavod. What's the secret of this? What does this have to do with killing Kali? Al pi zeh yivur sod pasuk yaloza chasidim bekavod yoranu al mishkavosim, but not them as a notice. So we take that we know sheyeshnam arba bechina shal Kali. So let's go a little fact here. He says shalosh mechem. Heim bechinas raw gomer v'nikroim shlosha kali tameos, and that's what they're called. But Revi, he the kali noga, which is like, say, possibly a trap, something, that there is some goodness there. He and then a raw gomer, it's not a completely, totally bad. Revis betov raw. So this sounds like the eighth priyadas tov raw. But at any rate, he says that it's revis betov raw. Now he wants to go number Mem Hey. He said number Mem Hey. He says Pirush ki hinenis boyer la'el. So we explained previously. 1 second. There's something weird going on here. Okay. He said ki hinenis boyer la'el sheyesh shnei mini isurim v'daber. So we talked about this a little bit. So echad hu hamotzish zal. The person that doesn't, the Zohar says, Al Pasuk lo yigurcho ra, Val Pasuk vihi air, B'chor Yehuda raw. So it just says a straight out raw. Val Pasuk oil the Rasha raw. Gvarn is boil la'el, so it's already been explained. Sheyeshnam shtei ofanin shebechem pogem ma'adam ba'avodat shazal. There are two different ways this goes, and we did talk about this. He mentioned it. It seemed like it was rather, I didn't think it was significant at the time. So he says, "Echad hu kashemotze shazal shelo b'makom mamitzvah." Val avon zeh. In other words, it's not an intention to do a mitzvah at all. So he says, and we have a word for that. V'al avon zeh mevor bezor shehu nikra b'shem ra v'rosha. That's what it's talking about. This goes back to the original sin. This is the problem in the world today. Is it love or is it just sex? Is that all of it is? And that is what the Yetzer Hara pushes us towards, to make that choice. Shekavana shepogam habris, shepagam habris, hanikra raw, that person who does it, yuchol lichiyos bebegura, lo yuchol lichiyos bebegura, or mechitza shalakodesh baruch chas v'shal. So if this is the way that a person, he can't come in. V'chein al air, same thing, ben Yehuda, because of raw, so it says over there because of raw. The fish pagam bechet shepogam bechet hazek and nizker bechazal. Bechet pasuk oil roshara. The hemshach pasuk hu ki gomel yada v'asa lo. He says the what he has done, that's what happens to him. Bekavana ala motzi zera lebetala biyada, if he does it intentionally, kabavur bezoer, and that's that idea for the thrill of it. So he says, and there's no obligation to it either. It is not a creation process; it's a destruction process. But you see how it is that the Haredim are really into this. I know that Rav Schick was. He recommended that kids get married at 15, 16, 13, that young age, like they did in Europe. In Europe, my grandmother got married at 14 or something like that. So they think very strongly about this, and that's one thing. And then on the other hand, and the Litvish chiefs didn't talk about it at all, as far as I know. You know much better than me. But let's go on to the next one. Now, to try to understand what the difference is, the reason why that's the reason why this is called Rishus. So there's another reason according to this. So because the tipa is now in that klipa, the Eishes Zanunim of this, we call her the Eishes Zanunim, Bebechinas raw. There's something it's pure taiva. Gamor believe shum tov klal. There is nothing good about it, just satisfaction of the taiva. So he says, the raw levad. Hatam shamotzer shazal shuluch b'makom mitzvah nikra roh hu machla shakol kavanaso hu rock la'avera is only to do an avera. That's all it's trying to do. Well, we're running out of time. Masha ein kain a motzer shazal be'ez haziva, which is not that case. Shebe'etzim ma'isa haziva niskav the mitzvah. So even though, so he says, the tam al pi hasod. Which is the idea of this neshama kedusha. El toch shlosha klipos that have fallen now into shlosha klipos at the mayor shebebekin is raw gomer beli ear of the toiv. For whom b'shum shekalkav and also rock the raw gomer. Okay, we have another minute. Let's look at number Mem Zion. Number Mem Zion says. The Rasha Hasheni, but there's a second Rasha. Nikra Misha Edem Mashaha Atzmo al Abetin. So this is a phrase he doesn't wait. So maybe he's partially doing what Er did. Not exactly, but he's trying. But he's trying. Ad sheyachlu kol nitzutzis azera until yakalu, until all of the nitzutzis have been deposited in the proper place. For the isha zechavim ain biyodah of avera acheres alazos. But if that's the only thing he ever did, afilu zos ain avera gemura, it's not considered to be an avera gemura. Amnam he kolula mitovra. Sure, it is a mixture. Because what he's trying to get is this particular tashmis. He's trying to do it right. That's the hoyel latova. That kavana right there is a good one. Babaz is zugo. Ella sheyishatef bo rozu. But the fact that he didn't want to complete it is that is a rishus. So they have a both. For the shiori hatipos. But there is a certain amount of them, the remnants of them, that go to the wrong place and wind up in the klipa noga hanigros tov v'rokanoida. It's land of the zochoseba over. So no, excuse me. Ha'ofen ha'sheni shepogem ha'ada ba'avon zel b'chu ha'motzer shazal v'shaz ha'zivam al yederav she'ananu shove b'kadaboy. It's not complete Gevera. Kevin, that his kavana to begin with was right. The Kevin to be called makum ikra tashmis choyel tzorach mitzvah. Nimsa shahamaisa rabekula betov raw. So the whole maisa was a mixture. Valkain hatipos holodu mislavshos besoch kali noga hagalulu betov raw. And that's the share for today. And we'll try to get it back next time. That's a serious subject, obviously. Nobody wants to talk about it. Okay. Thanks for learning with me, Rebbe. Kol tov.